Hello Steve. Hello Joe. It's time to game classy.
So, let's talk about a board game that has irked me since it got released. We on Kickstarter, we did not get a chance to talk about it.
I'm ready. Let's go.
It raised $9 million on Kickstarter.
Massive success.
Massive success. Marvel Zombies, Zombicide. From Coom and You're Not. For $130, Steve, $130, you get the core box and all applicable rewards. Then, if you want to double that to $240, you get the X-Men box. Now, we're going to take that $240 and we're going to double it again so you could get the Galactus pledge. So, for $430, you get pretty much everything that they're releasing on this Kickstarter in one of the most obnoxious things I've ever seen. And you know what's the value of you know what the value of savings is, Steve? On that $430, you know how much they're saving you on that one?
$30.
A big $40 discount on $470 worth of value.
Hey, by Price is Right rules, I'm good. Damn, that's savage. That is them definitely giving you the finger.
Yeah. Oh, or that $430 does not include the Galactus. In order to include Galactus, you'd have to take that $430 to get everything in this Kickstarter, Steve. You have to lay down a cool $615.
That's fucking. But did I hear that right? Then the Galactus pledge is $430 and does not come with Galactus.
No. I'm sorry. The Hungry pledge does not come with Galactus.
I see.
The Devourer pledge comes with the Galactus for $600 for $615, saving you $50 on a $665 deal. Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
That is wow.
However, you do get, what I will say is that in the Heroes pledge, you get a lot of hero figures, right? So if you're playing Crisis Protocol and you want some heroes, this is a good place to get some. However, at that price range, holy shit, dude. Like, wow. Come on. That's ridiculous.
You could, you could buy for that much money? A fucking Steam Deck. You should buy a Steam Deck instead of Marvel Zombies.
What's a Steam Deck?
So Valve is producing a handheld that's essentially a Nintendo Switch for all intents and purposes, but it's a computer. So it runs Steam, and like you can put your own operating system in it if you want, but it's set up to run their own Steam OS, and like it's connected to your Steam account. So basically, if you have a Steam library, you have a portable computer powerhouse console that can run all of your Steam games.
Can it run it? Could I play it in the car as I'm driving?
I wouldn't advise you do it while driving, but yes, you can.
Well, not while I'm driving, but like while my wife is driving, could I play?
Yes, you can.
So I could go back and play my Gotham Arkham City.
Absolutely.
I was
anything
playing,
you have on Steam. You want to play Legends of Grimrock? You got it.
While I was up with the COVID, and I'm kind of like, I'd get my work done for the day, and I'd be like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I just go play. I was like, I'll go play Arkham City. I haven't played Arkham City in a while, and I'm the new Arkham Knights is coming out, or Gotham Knights is what it's called, not Arkham Knights, which is the new updated Gotham City and Arkham City. God, I can.
Oh, nice.
But you get to play but Batman is dead, so you have to play as Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, or the Red Hood. And it looks like similar mechanics, and whatever. But I just keep on thinking of like the song "Hollywood Nights." Those Hollywood Nights. So I was like, I'll play Arkham City. Man, fucking collecting all those fucking things. Like, I enjoy it, but man, what a waste of fucking time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna collect all the damn Riddler trophies and gotta look at all the pictures and everything else. Ugh, God. I enjoy it, but man. Yeah. So I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, so you have the fucking this box set for $640. Like, do you like? Obviously, people play Zombicide. People love Zombicide, but are they going to drop $615 on it?
I mean, apparently, yes, made over $9 million.
It did. Let's see. Like, I'm gonna see how many pledged the 615. 6,205 people pledged the all-in Devour pledge at $615. And actually, that is 2,000 more than pledged just the $130 box set. Ridiculous.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah. So I'm like looking at all the tiers, right? And the majority of people backed the $615 pledge.
That is absolutely wild.
Yeah, and for a game that might be good, there are a bunch better games that you could buy for $615. Like you could buy all of the Gloomhaven stuff for $615 at this point.
Once you get to like decent lower end PC or like game console pricing, like I'm out. I'm not fucking spending that kind of money on a fucking board game. That's actually crazy.
You could buy a used car for $615.
Yeah, I mean, and like I don't want to like get too big on the soapbox because I fucking I obviously have fucking some Warhammer toys, but like I don't know, man. that's
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I am with you 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the other. I was just looking at it. I was agog when I saw how much money that made and how many people pledged what they pledged for that.
I guess Warhammer's a little bit easier for me to swallow too, because most cases I'm like buying like really piecemeal. So like when you add it up all together, it's like, yeah, it's a lot, but like I didn't like go like I'm dropping this $650 wad on this fucking this one thing. No, and plus it's so limited. It's so limited, and like you can only it's only that game as is. So if that game sucks, you've burnt that money.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even know how
Warhammer sucks.
The difference between a Warhammer player and a board game player. We know our game sucks.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a sunk cost fallacy at this point.
No, that's the thing. It's not even a sunk cost fallacy. I figured out it's an elaborate coping mechanism to just like really be okay with the fact that you just want to paint and play with toys.
Yeah, which told. That's why I bought a 3D printer. I bought my Saturn, my Elegoo Saturn, for $400, which is $215 cheaper than Marvel Zombies, right?
That's right. You could print Marvel Zombies.
I could print, and I literally can just like I could go and look and see like, ooh, I like this Captain America. Click, print. Oh, yay! Now I have Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but you don't have the rules, Joe. Wait, you're saying that I'm on the internet and I don't have access to rules to a game? No, of course not. Okay.
It's funny. It's funny you went in that direction because I was just gonna be like, there are rules.
There are rules to these games. No one told me this.
Yeah. No, it's like I want to paint some cool toys, and like that's the other thing too is like I have friends I know who play, so like I want to play with like some of the specific friends I have who play. Like I want to get games with Joe, and I want to get games with Giuseppe, and I want to get games with Kevin. Like that's who I'm gonna play with. I'm not gonna fucking go to the store and play with some fucking random. Like that's painful, man. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to subject myself to that.
Yeah, if I'm playing with someone I don't know, it's because I'm going to be at the one thing a year I might be willing to do, which is just Adepticon. Literally nothing else. And I would actually consider doing Adepticon this year, except for the fact that there's just absolutely zero chance that I'd be ready.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a Zone Mortalis game, and I don't even know if I'll be ready for it.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'll hit up Adepticon next year, with some done stuff. But that's
maybe some 3D printed Tomb Kings.
Yeah, yes, actually, that might be the army I use because it looks really cool.
Just let me know when you want me to start. I'll start.
You can start now.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Sounds good. But yeah, so like that's the other thing too is like if I didn't have like actual like real friends I knew who played, there's zero chance I would ever make an army. Zero. Like
Yeah.
I'd probably like have like maybe like a couple war bands just because I wanted to paint some toys or whatever. And even then I probably wouldn't have that. Because if I didn't have specific friends I knew who played, I would not bother. Because the game's just frankly not good enough to play with, like, to be a consistent, like, I want to do this with strangers thing, especially when video games are right there, far more accessible and way more players. And if you don't like someone you're playing a video game with, you can just block them.
That's true. Yeah, and except for the fact that a lot of these, video games are terrible.
I mean, a lot of everything is.
Yeah, I ain't gonna play any of these games. You kidding me? I never played 2-player games. I don't want to play with, like, what are they gonna do? They're just gonna run around and shoot me. I don't want that.
Well, I mean, I don't play first person shooters or anything, but there's plenty of reasonable multiplayer games out there that are not.
You gonna play?
they're not
You gonna
that.
play some fighting games? You gonna play some Mortal Kombat, Steve? Is that what you gonna play?
You
gonna
Mortal
play-
Kombat is a
you-
black button, man. That
Steve?
game's too hard.
Steve, are you the king of fighters?
Not yet, but maybe in a couple weeks.
Are you? Oh, you're in a couple weeks. You're gonna be the king of fighters.
We'll see. King of Fighters 15 is coming out. It looks fucking dope as shit.
I saw a trucker hat that just said King of Fighters on it, and like I don't think they were doing it to be like as a promotion for the video game. I think they were trying to be ironic in a lot of ways, and I was like, I really want to buy this for Pat because I know he would wear it in a non-ironic way.
There's actually a really good story of this dude. His grandpa had a Fatal Fury hat, which is Terry Bogart's hat from King of Fighters and
Yeah.
Fatal Fury, and his grandpa like legit just wore that. Like he just bought that Fatal Fury hat because his grandpa bought it. He's like yeah, it's a cool hat, and like his grandpa had no idea what Fatal Fury was, no idea what King of Fighters was. No fucking clue, but he bought that hat and wore it for like 30 years until he died, and they buried it with him.
There you go. That's cool.
I was like, that is awesome.
You hope to someday be that cool, Steve.
Yeah, dude, I could never be that. Me, I could never. I can only aspire to be that cool as that old dude just like chilling out in his fucking Fatal Fury hat. It was pretty awesome.
Yes, and we will say, here is buried the King of Fighters.
The King of Fighters. Yeah, no, that'll be fun. And then, but no, there's plenty of solid. Like, I mean, you could even play tabletop games like Shadespire on Steam against people.
That's true. You can.
There's plenty out there. I mean, obviously, the most popular games are games that I am definitely not interested in, and they are games that are definitely going to be way more favorable to. I mean, all games are favorable to people who have more time than not.
Yeah.
But games like League of Legends and like Call of Duty and all that stuff is like
Duty.
not only is duty. Not only is that more favorable to people with more time than I have, it's also more favorable to people with a lot less years than I have.
Yeah.
Because like it's like StarCraft, you age out of competitive StarCraft. I think the oldest StarCraft pro is like 25, and like basically 25 is like fucking geriatric for a Star Trek player.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The
So-
the video game stuff. I would like Tabletop Simulator, but once again, it's like I would rather just sit here and paint my models and watch a funny YouTube video while doing that.
For me, the biggest gripe I'd have about Tabletop Simulator is, obviously is the thing that they can't implement or would be a nightmare to implement, which is, automation.
Yeah.
Like automate, like, because I mean, could you, like, I would probably play 40K at least against people I know, maybe kind of often, if Tabletop Simulator was actually like, you click on a unit, it shows you how far it can move, you click to where it can move, you click fire, you point at what it wants to shoot at, and then like the models just die. I don't see any dice rolls or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like if it was legit, just actually like if it was 40K with all of the, because we're part of the computer when you're playing a tabletop game. We're the ones doing the processing, rolling the dice, looking at the numbers, checking all the rules and stuff. If you took all of that away and you just made me like give me just the tactical choices, like these guys can move here, they can move here, they can move there, and then all of the math is done behind the scenes, I would play the fuck out of that game.
Well,
And I've always said that would be like the best 40K, the best advertised. But I've always said that would have been the best advertisement for 40K they could have done. But upon further reflection and what I had discussed before, it would actually be a terrible advertisement for 40K, because then people would play and be like, this game sucks.
I was thinking about that. I was I don't know if we've talked about this on the cast, but I always thought that that would be a nice supplement to Total War, is that if Total War had a non animated kind of just like tabletop version of the game that you could play against your opponent, that was like, you know, it was like just like a top down view and you just moved your troops, you know, like, and it played like a standard game of Warhammer Fantasy.
I would actually really like Total War a lot more if it was just turn based. That's my only complaint about that game.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying is like if there was like, if they took out all of the animation and like overhead views or whatever, or like, you know, all of those like really dynamic stuff, and they just made it so that like you'd click on your wizard and your wizard would move up, this unit would move up, and it would play just like a regular game, just using the engine and graphics and behind the scenes math.
I think you could do both. You could do both, because you could have it like, you could have like you do like, so the game is paused and you do issue orders. So you say every, and this would actually make it a little bit different than or this would make it different in a very interesting way compared to playing Warhammer tabletop. Because like let's just in our theoretical game here, it's you versus me, we're playing. So the match starts. It says, you know, take your turn. So the match starts. I issue all of the orders I want to all of my troops. You issue all of the orders you want to all of your troops. Under whatever the timer is. When the timer is up, when our round's complete, we hit OK or whatever, and then the game starts. All of the orders we issued play out. So like if I wanted a unit to move somewhere, if I had a wizard cast a spell, if you had a wizard cast a spell, blah, 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 all that stuff happens and it plays out in whatever way it's going to play out. And then once there's a certain criteria, so like once things have reached where they were supposed to go or made contact with the enemy, blah, 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 it then goes to the next thing, same thing. Then we go back to it's paused. I issue orders to my troops, you issue orders to your troops. So there can be things like if I'm in charge range of one of your units, I can be like, I'm going to charge that unit. And then your choice, you could be like, I think he's going to charge me. So you can be like, this unit should retreat. Or you could be like, he's going to charge me. I'm going to charge him head on. I'm going to charge at him. So then when the turn starts, so say your unit retreated, my unit is trying to charge, it just runs at you. Your unit is already running away because you made the decision already to run. And then when the next round starts, your unit has fled. My unit has a failed charge essentially, or you've decided to hold the charge or countercharge me, and then our units are fighting. Like there could be a really cool dynamic middle ground where you issue all the orders at once, and that comes into like there's a lot more.
Yeah, but your
counterplay it would be really, really cool.
I like your game. I like your theory. However, you're ignoring the basic idea of I just want to play tabletop using that just their engine and behind the scenes mechanics that already exist. Like my version would be much easier to make.
I bet you there's a mod or something that probably does what you want.
More than likely, yes. You're probably right. But that's what I would like. So it's like I would just move all my Joe gets turn 1. Joe has priority. So Joe would move all of his guys up. I would do I'm not in combat. Magic phase. Okay, let's do. Well, I'd move, then do magic, and then wait. What? It was magic was second, right? Like, move, magic, combat. Or it was magic, shooting.
Move,
combat.
Magic, shooting, combat.
Yeah, that was right. So yeah, move, magic.
That could work too. You could do a modified one where it's like, where it's just a little bit. Yeah, no, that could work too. No, I think that would be pretty good. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, no, you're yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Like like quasi Warhammer, like almost Warhammer, but not quite. That's the 1-to-1 just wouldn't work. But I think a quasi Warhammer mod to Total War would probably be pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like it would actually be pretty fun, because the only thing that I would say would be like you'd have to really figure out a way of balancing but it's already all in the game already, but like a point cost issue, like how that would, you'd have to have a decent army builder that kind of showed you like, okay, you've built a 2,000 point list or something similar. Like They would
Well,
have
they
to
have that if you do the multiplayer in Total War, they have that.
yeah,
The armies cost a certain amount of gold.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like it would have to be like a gold thing, and then you'd build out the army, and then I would be able to play against you. Because my thing is like I love Total War. My computer can now handle Total War, but I just don't have the I would much rather be able to. I don't want to play against a person who's been playing Total War all this time because they're going to kill me and destroy me.
Total War is hard as fuck. That game
It's a
is
hard ass game. I just would love to play a 1v1 against someone. And if it's a little more, subdued and laid back, like I'll do all my turns and then they do all their turns. And maybe, there's like an overhead function where you'd see the overhead of the map. So it would look like a standard Warhammer game. And then you could do a little bit more of the 3D so you could zoom in and kind of get an idea of what it looks like and so on and so forth. I think that would be more fun. But anyway, that's me. But I'm an old fuck. I'm 40 years old. Total War 3 is coming out and I'm going, that's too much.
Yeah, well, but that's the other thing too. Like as geriatrics such as ourselves, you have to find if there's enough. You like, I know they always say moving the goalposts is always said in a very negative connotation.
Yeah.
But I think as being geriatrics such as you and I, we actually just need to move our goalposts a little because it'll help you like things a lot more.
You're right. You're right. I do like things. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that I would like to that's something I would like to have. I'm not saying I'm demanding it like some sort of entitled boomer.
But that's why I really like Shadespire a lot. Like I'm kind of disappointed that Shadespire doesn't have the Steam release of Shadespire. I'm kind of disappointed that it doesn't have a lot more support. I don't know if it. I mean, I know nothing about it to say like, oh, it's a failure or not. But like, it doesn't seem like it was a huge success, which is such a shame because that was like that game is such like the perfect like digital workshop game.
In reality, it's because it doesn't have a mobile port.
I think you're right because like
if that game was mobile, people would be all over it.
Yeah, that game really should be on phones because I mean, yeah, for sure, I agree with that. Because I mean, I played it a few times. It's really fun. Like I recommend it. The biggest issue I have with it is that there's just not enough content. The best thing about it though is they already have their own ban list, their own thing, and also the other thing that's good about that is that with the way Shadespire is designed as a game, it doesn't feel as shitty when they ban cards because you get everything. Like when you buy the warband, you have all the cards. Like doesn't matter. Like you have through your warband, you didn't invest any time in you didn't invest any time in painting or like setting up like building them and then being like, oh yeah, your army sucks or your warband blows now because like all the cards your warband was using are banned, so you have to use a new warband. You just have it. If that happens in the Shadespire Steam game, you're like, oh okay, well I'll just switch to this other warband I have that's immediately ready to play. I don't have to paint a new warband to play.
Yes, but but here's the question. If you're playing physically, you're playing Shadespire, am I able to buy NFTs of the warband themselves? That's the question.
Fucking NFTs, man. I need my Space Marine Monkey JPEGs.
Space Marine Monkey JPEGs.
Space Marine Monkey JPEGs. Oh, there's that. It's actually funny. Thinking about games and all this stuff. I was thinking about Vermintide and how fun Vermintide is, and that's a game that's fun to play with people. There's the 40K one that looks dope, where you play as
when's it coming out?
The guard. It's like very soon. I think it's in private beta. I think it's in private beta testing right now, but it looks really good.
Yeah, that looks like a decent. Finally looks like a decent 40K game.
Yeah, that game looks like it's going to be a blast. And Space Marine 2 will probably be good as well.
Oh my god, I can't wait for that. I am going to play that.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy that.
I mean, I loved playing the first Space Marine game, so I'm sure this one will be excellent. Like, that's the thing too. Like, I just hope they don't try to like. This is one of those scenarios where I'm like, please just do not change the game that much. Just do not change the way that game works that much, because that game they fucking nailed it. Like that game, you feel like a fucking Space Marine because it's like, oh yeah, 30 orcs, okay, just fucking nailing them down with your bolt pistol, and one comes close to you, fucking chainsword, like, oh yeah, heavy bolter, just like nailing down tanks and everything. You feel like a fucking Space Marine in that game. So I hope they make the combat and the way the game feels work, because I mean, that's the other thing they really nailed too, is they got how like your character feels heavy when you're playing that game. When you're walking, when you're running, like you feel like when you do the sprint in that game and like the camera moves and like the ground shakes and like you're like, holy shit, like I feel like a giant 10-foot tall super warrior in power armor. I'm fingers crossed that they don't fuck it up.
I mean, yeah, they probably will.
I don't know. I see that's the thing. I don't have. I'm normally pretty pessimistic about stuff, but video games I find are way too inconsistent for me to be like universally like, it's gonna suck, because like I don't fucking, because games are all over the place. There's games that are, and plus what games I like are always completely different from like like the big trend games anyway. So
yeah, but. Well, all right. So do we have any other news that we need to speak of?
New Magic set released or pre-release is this weekend right now as we speak.
Oh boy.
Very cool. They took a big risk, I think, but it's looking like it paid out really big, which is sweet. So I don't know if you remember, but a long time ago they did a Magic set called Champions of Kamigawa.
I do not remember that.
This was like shit. This is before, was it before Mirrodin or was it after Mirrodin? It was after Mirrodin. It's like we're talking early 2000s. Like it was a very old set.
It is an old set.
Yeah, and it was a Eastern inspired set. So they had like ninjas, samurai, so on and so forth. The set was trash. Like all of the cards were super weak. It was a very, very bad set. And there's like most people who played or who were playing at the time do not remember that set fondly because of how shitty it was. It was very weak. It wasn't Homelands level weak, but it was not good.
I'm trusting everything that you say.
Well, it's true. The set that's coming out now, or pre-releasing now and releasing next week, is it's a return to Kamigawa. So they decided to go back to the Kamigawa plane. But there's a massive change. You might be able to glean what it is if you hear the set name, which is Kamigawa Neon Dynasty.
Is it now all 80s cyberpunk?
Yes, it's fucking cyberpunk. It's cyberpunk samurai with dragons and magic. It's the very first like official canon Magic the Gathering science fiction set, essentially.
Ooh.
I mean, science fiction in the way that like Spelljammer is science fiction, but science fiction.
Spelljammer.
So like there's there's a samurai who's got like a robot arm and so on and so forth. Your classic cyberpunk tropes for samurai things. But one of the things you'll like. Oh,
Steve. Well, let's throw this out there to our listeners as well. If they've gotten this far in the cast, I might split this into two because Steve also can't record next scheduled time to record.
Yeah, definitely.
But is Die Hard a cyberpunk movie? Like, I'm tired of this is Die Hard a Christmas movie argument. I want people to argue, is Die Hard cyberpunk? A, takes place in the 1980s. B, Japanese megacorp. C, hacking involved. Discuss amongst yourselves. Anyway, continue, Steve.
So my answer to that is no. But
because there's no katanas or slicing.
There's no katanas, no slicing, and there's no biotech.
Well, we don't know that.
We do know that. No character is biotech.
I don't know. Ellis took in a lot of cocaine.
You think Ellis is juiced? Ellis has got cyberware. He's got cyberware. So you can throw more cocaine.
Bubby. I got 16 gigs of memory in my brain.
I'm your white knight. No, so one of the things you'll really like is that one of the things they did to promote the set, which made MTG Grognard's big mad, is that one of the promotional music videos is a Hatsune Miku original song for the set. The video is great. It's awesome. It was so fun to watch. And it was very surreal seeing Hatsune Miku throw magic cards around. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? But it was really dope. And the song is good too.
Oh, that's
So,
good.
yeah.
I don't know who that is, but I will take a look. I'm not saying I refuse. I just don't know who it is.
Yeah. Hatsune Miku's the Vocaloid. She's not a real person.
Okay.
So
Who's one
what?
of them?
Yeah. So well, Vocaloids are an actual voice actor or actress had their voice recorded making basically like every sound, and then you can use the program that has those recordings to make it sing. So you can make it say like, you know, like twinkle twinkle little star, and like the program uses the right pitch from a real person's voice to replicate the song. So it's a real voice, but not. It's a real fake voice. But anyway, Hatsune Miku is like a big deal, but it was on David Letterman. But anyway, yeah. So so a bunch of Magic nerds got big mad about that, which is really hilarious. But I mean, the set looks amazing. They tapped a whole bunch of Japanese artists that I was like, "What? Really? They got them? Wow!" Like the Wizards went big into the weeb category for this one.
So I know you're not playing Magic regularly, but are you going to get the set just because of its Japaneseness?
Man, I probably want to get. There's one card done by the Metal Gear artist. Like, you know, all of the Metal Gear cover for every Metal Gear game.
Is he the one that draws
like,
the big badonk on Snake?
No.
Oh, well then what's the point?
Every Metal Gear game has those really nice like watercolor paintings as their covers. Like he's been doing Metal Gear art since the 80s. They look incredible, and he did an alternate art card of a samurai. I might just get that card because it looks really cool, and I really like that artist. There's also the artist who did Fist of the North Star, Bronson. So I might grab his card as well because I'm a huge fucking Fist of the North Star fan. But they've got there's a ton. There's so like if you have a favorite like anime or manga or maybe Japanese franchise, there's a good chance that they tapped an artist who worked on the thing you like and had them do an alternate card.
Do they have a Naruto?
I don't think so, actually.
Well, then I'm not going to play it because I want a Naruto.
Yeah, I mean they might. You'd have to. I have not dug deep to find out, but there might be a Naruto for you, Joe.
Have you dug too deep?
Greedily and too deep.
Too greedily, too deep.
It's good. No, there's a bunch of them. There's yeah. So I was pretty impressed with their choices, and I said it was kind of a risk, like doing like a set that was like so thematically different than like any of the normal like. You know, I don't want to say bog standard, but like more standard fantasy Magic stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was cool.
Have you this is the other thing I put on my list of things to discuss. Have you watched any of Vox Machina on Amazon?
I have not, but one of my coworkers who has never played a Dungeons and Dragons game in his life and is mostly into sports stuff was talking about how sweet it was. So
let me tell you this, Steve. I know that you and I are not huge real play fans, especially with the Critical Role people.
Yes.
However, let me tell you this. What I really truly appreciate about what they did with the cartoon is they really implemented true tabletop into a cartoon for the first time. And you could tell it because if you're a Dungeons and Dragons player, you're like watching this and you're going, oh, that's a failed lore check. Oh, nice. Oh, that's a failed this. That's a person who doesn't know what they're doing. You know, there was one part where one of the characters tried to call lightning on a blue dragon, and I was like, come on. That's some amateur bullshit right there. That's great. And then of course it failed, right? Oh yeah, of course. You know, you can't call lightning on a blue dragon. Who does that? Well, yeah, I mean, I know that. You know that. That person's player just didn't know that. Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like that was pretty fun. It was, but it's definitely like what you would maybe do as an amateur D&D player, not knowing that a blue dragon. But I mean, You know, come on.
Yes,
It's
that's pretty sweet.
it's a blue dragon. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And then it was like in one of the, not the last episode, but the episode before that, it was definitely a vampire that showed up, and I went, oh, that was quick to get them into Ravenloft. That was quick. And my wife was like, how do you know that's a vampire? I'm like, look at them. They're even playing like vampire music in the background. Like, you can just tell. Like, you know when a guy pulls up in a coach and he has an Eastern European accent, what's that gonna be? It's a
yeah,
vampire.
and when you hear dun 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 dun, you know that Uruk-hai are just around the corner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what they really should have had is what is a man? Nothing but a miserable pile of secrets.
Pile of secrets. Oh man, that would be so good.
Exactly. But I in terms of I do like the show. I like it better than I like actual, like, the real play of Critical Role. But what I don't like, the only thing I don't like about the show, and this is like another, like, I'm a 40-year-old man, there's too much swearing on that show, like way too much. Now I appreciate the adult humor of the show, and that they're not afraid of nudity in it, which is I'm fine with, but it's like they drop an F-bomb every 15 seconds on that show, and I'm just like, it's too much.
Kind of fucking weird.
Way too much. It's unnecessary, because
I think,
yeah.
For me, like, I mean, I'm full on vulgarity. I'm a big fan of swearing. I will say though, I find it is odd just because it feels so out of place in fantasy stuff. I think the only series that got away with it very specifically was Game of Thrones. But Game of Thrones also had very, like, yes, Game of Thrones has fantasy, but in terms of like being a fantasy series, it doesn't really have the same, like, it's this, it'd be like if Aragorn dropped an F-bomb.
Exactly.
Like that would be really fucking weird. Like, it just feels so off-putting and so out of place for, like, or like Gimli to be like fuck off. And this is like, that's just kind of weird. It's gotta fit the world. And maybe because Game of Thrones is like grimy and there's like tits and ass everywhere and like people fucking in the background.
Is it grimdark?
I wouldn't say Game of Thrones. I actually would not say Game of Thrones is grimdark.
Game of Thrones is not grimdark.
But it is grimy.
Yeah.
But like when you have that like thematic setting, it's not
dank,
so
Steve?
weird.
Is it dank?
It is dank. The dank. It feels less weird when what's his name? Fucking Peter Dinklage goes, fuck the king. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, that wasn't Peter Dinklage, that was the Hound.
Yeah.
When the Hound's like, fuck the king. Like, that was like, okay, like that didn't take me out of it.
No.
But for like real fantasy, like some like a half orc like fighting like a troll and like an elf casting spells, like if they start dropping F-bombs, I can see where you're going there, because I don't mind excessive swearing, but there is
Well, the way I look at it is that, because of 60 years of standards and practices in television, you don't hear a lot of swearing in television. So when you are able to swear in television, it generally has to have some sort of impact with it. And if you have, like, as you said, like a half orc going up to the group and saying, "Hey, let's go get some fucking sandwiches," it's like it takes you out. It's like
yeah, it takes you out of it. It's just weird. It's
unnecessary, is what I'm saying.
It just doesn't feel correct thematically.
Yeah. So, and also, like, you could go the Farscape route and just make up a bunch of like swear words like frel and stuff like that, or like Battlestar Galactica and call it fracking.
What the frack? Fracking hell.
I still love that.
Yeah.
Going back to what is it? It's almost 10 years since the end of Battlestar Galactica. I do really appreciate the frack.
Yeah, frack is really
Saul
funny.
fracking tie.
Saul fracking tie.
Goddamn. Goddamn Saul fracking tie.
Saul fracking tie.
So it's like,
yeah, no, that's funny.
So like in a fantasy, like, we're Western English speakers. All of our swear words are based on bodily functions, like why can't we, like, some places do like
shit, back, piss.
Yeah. Then you shit, piss, fuck, cock, sucker, motherfucker. I can't remember the 7 dirty words.
It's true. It's like body. Oh, shit, piss, cunt, cut, suckers, a motherfucker. Shit, piss, turd, and twat. I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you added a couple in there.
I probably did. I know it ends with twat though.
Yes. But the French, all of their dirty words are all like church related.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like yeah, there's more interesting things you could do with cursing instead of just throwing in an F-bomb is what I'm trying to get to.
Yes,
that you could make up words, you can have it something else. What someone said thrown, like, I think it's in a 40K, maybe they say thrown, instead of like fuck.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, thematic swearing. Well, that's the other thing too. Thematic swearing actually makes way more sense and helps world build. Like I mean, people still talk about frack. People still make jokes about frack now. Like that wouldn't have happened if they said fuck. No one would remember that because it wouldn't have made any of those scenes any more interesting because it's something we know and it wouldn't build the world. So yeah, no, that makes sense. So like someone saying like by the throne or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's a big difference.
Yeah,
or like in Dread they say drock.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Drock. Like that's a great swear word. Like it means nothing. Drock. Like that's fucking awesome. Like it's a great swear. Also an interesting. I kind of want to. I wonder if there's this is like not only because of my weebiness, but like I really want to know if there's a Japanese dub for the Vox Machina because the thing you brought that up is I learned in my studies I learned something very interesting, and it's interesting you brought up French swears. Japanese does not have distinct bad words or swear words. They don't exist. It's a very, very weird, and it took me a really long way to figure out because there's a word called, I'll use one example, kuso. Like when you see an anime or like another character, or a TV series, like a guy might like be like on the ground, like he just got hit big and he's like, kuso. And then he like gets up. That universally is translated in English as shit, like the swear word shit. It does not mean that at all.
On.
Or she might. Huh?
Hold on.
Okay.
I want to see if this works.
Okay.
This is Vox Machina. I'm just trying to see if they're. I tried put on Japanese.
Let's go.
Yeah, there it is. There's a Japanese dub. Yeah, so
awesome.
So there you go. You can actually watch Japanese, and you can watch it with English subtitles in Japanese. So
nice. What's what service is that on?
That's Amazon Prime.
All right, I'll have to take a look because that sounds fun. But so they don't have direct one-to-one swear word translations.
Yeah.
And like one of the most common one of the most common things that they translate as as the word bastard is ore, like or scumbag. Like they'd be like ore, like translate that, and that's usually used by someone's. But the literal translation for that word is you. It means YOU, but the way you use that word is it's rude. So the way to swear in Japanese is you just say words, but you say the ruder version of the word. It's so weird. Like it took me forever to wrap my head around that. I was like, wait, what? Because because I'm looking up words and because I saw ore when I was like learning, I was like, oh, I know that. And I was like, wait, I don't know that. It just means you. And so I had to look up what the hell is this? So I come to find that I was like, it's like being rude is essentially a swear word in Japanese, which I thought was interesting. So I want to specifically, because you said they swear a lot in Vox Machina, I really want to see what they do in the Japanese dub.
They probably just use fuck, but it's like fuku.
I mean, that's actually true because the way to say fuck in Japanese is fuck, faku.
Yeah. So it's different all around What I find interesting about it is that you go through around the world and different languages, the type of swear words just end up becoming like how they develop is very interesting. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I there's some interesting maps you could look at and see, you know, where a lot of them come from. And I think that you could take a fantasy world like they do with Vox Machina. And let's be fair, Vox Machina is doing straight up D&D world, like a Greyhawk world where everything's all mushed together, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes sense, but there's no logical immersion in it. Like you'll have people who are dressed like they're in the 18th century with people who are dressed like they're in the Renaissance, and it doesn't fucking matter. There's no like cultural like evolution throughout it. We're not reading fucking Tolkien, right? Like whoever came up with this did not like create an entire language and then like I'm gonna build a world around this language.
They're firing it off. They're firing off shit at the hip.
Exactly. So you know you don't have to worry about that, but when you can do that, when you create kind of your own swear words to it, it's a little more immersive and it's more fun for the fans. And I agree. Think, yeah. And so
that's like in Planescape Torment, arguably the best Dungeons and Dragons video game ever made. I highly recommend you, Joe, like listeners, yes, but you, Joe, specifically, if you have not played the video game Planescape Torment, you should do that.
Planescape Torment. I just looked it up.
Yeah, you should play that. It's dirt cheap on GOG. It's also on Steam. It's not expensive. It is the best Dungeons and Dragons game ever made. No question in my mind. It's like not even close to being the best. But there's a lot of that in Planescape where like they use made up swear words because it's in that realm. It's in Planescape.
Yes.
So like I think they say shit in like some English ones too, but like they use a lot of made up swear words because there's like it's like I can't remember like Drek or Greg or something like that, like Drecker, like Drecker, like that's a swear word or whatever. But
I always like Farscape, you know, where you have like Biznak, Bull Yachts. I'm looking at a list right now. Drelk, Dren.
That's good.
Ema, Frel is always my favorite.
Frel,
yeah. What the Frel?
What the Frel? No, that's good. But yeah, I cannot recommend Planescape Torment enough to anyone who is interested in role playing games in general. Just like they are, it's incredible. It's super good. You don't really need to know a lot about D&D to like really like it. It does use D&D rules, but the one thing that's great about it, unlike Baldur's Gate, is the gimmick is your character can't die permanently, so you don't have to build like an optimized combat monster character to like play that game, because if something kills you, you just get back up. Like it's not even like in like a save scum way or like you are in a save point way. Like literally, like you died again. Like your character just gets back up. Like your character is immortal. So because of that, it opened up way more opportunities for way more interesting shit than your average Dungeons and Dragons game. And the plot lines are incredible. There's so many party members. All the party members have their own storylines. Alignment is extremely important in that game, like the way alignment works, because you can't have conflicting alignments in your party. It's really well done. I highly recommend it. I guess the only caveat is that not every line is there's a lot of voice acting, but not every line is fully voice acted. And there are some very lengthy conversations in that game that are not voice acted. So if you really have an aversion to reading, that might be worth noting, at least I should say.
Nice.
But yeah, it's the finest Dungeons and Dragons game ever made, in my opinion, and it's Planescape is also my favorite setting, and not just because of that game, but also I talk with Angel about this a lot, where I'm like, the way D&D is currently played and designed, where they have like the bird, like the stuff that I say is stupid, where it's just like, it's a bird man, an eagle man, and a rock man, and like a fucking tiefling running around. That's stupid because it's in Greyhawk, or that's stupid because it's in the Forgotten Realms. In Planescape, that's like, yeah, okay, that's just a legit party in Planescape, because Planescape is the rifts of D&D. Like anything makes sense in Planescape, because Planescape is a realm where there's a bunch of dimension doors that are just always open. So if anyone in any plane knows how to open the door to Planescape, or accidentally stumbles through the door to Planescape, you fall in. So like, yeah, it makes sense that there's a turtle man, because he's not from the same plane as the rock man. They're from a completely different existence, but they have collided together here in Planescape. So like that's my favorite setting, and it should be the official D&D setting because of how much random bullshit they like to put into all the expansion books.
Yeah, but it ain't gonna happen. You know that.
Oh, I know. I know. Dude, I was actually thinking about this. I think Wizards is terrified to do 6th edition Dungeons and Dragons. They need to do 6th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but I think they're shitting their pants about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We know we've talked about this before on the cast. I do think that they're terrified. However, I also think that Dungeons and Dragons, though it has grown increasing in popularity and they're probably making a decent amount of money off of it, you know, compared to the money they make from Magic.
You would be surprised. I mean, over 50 million players of Dungeons and Dragons is like, that's nothing to fucking scoff at, man. That's a lot of fucking people. That's more people than play World of Warcraft.
That's true, but no one plays World of Warcraft anymore.
Oh, that's more people than play. That's more people play Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, ooh.
Yes, and I think Final Fantasy 14 is the number one MMO right now. But so yeah, so that's more people than are playing Final Fantasy 14. So Momo. But so that's got to count for something, and you've got to figure that install base. You need to make something that is going to entice that install base to actually want to go to your new edition, because it's not going to be like before, where you had, you know, a very fractional piece of the pie, and you know, if you had a stumbling block, like, yeah, I don't know, it's like a, so like, oh, this is the, I was trying to formulate this thought while I was talking and it didn't come out right. But so when 4th edition fell on its face, the install base was such that like they were like, whatever, I'll just play Pathfinder. Pathfinder started, you know, scooping up all the players. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. However, I think that there is such a vast install base for 5th edition. If they flub 6th edition, people will absolutely just keep playing 5th edition.
Well, and I think that's, and I was talking about this with some friends, and I think we talked about this on this cast, is that people don't understand edition shift. Like, they are too new to this world to understand that edition shift all the time. So like when I was talking to my friend who plays D&D, I was like, are you excited about the new edition? He's like, what? And I was like, you know, the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons. Well, why does it need a new edition? Well, they periodically do a new edition, you know, clean up the rules, you know, do things differently. Well, why would anybody play a new edition when we have this edition? And it's just like, it's literally like talking to someone in a foreign language. They have no concept of
you sweet summer child.
Yeah. Like, and you know, you and I lived through 9 editions of 40K, 12 editions of fantasy.
Oh, fucking 3 editions of Age of Sigmar now.
3 editions. Well, that's what I'm saying. 12 editions.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to take that. The 3rd edition of Age of Sigmar, despite the fact that there's a lot of balance issues right now, probably my favorite edition of any Warhammer game ever.
There you go.
So there you go. Like, I think I like it even more than Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition. Like, I think it is really that good. It does have balance issues, but you don't have to care about that if you're playing with friends. Because if you're playing with friends and they show up with the Stormcast Dragon Army, you can just tell them to fuck themselves.
Yeah. There's issues all over the place. But I mean, like, but what I'm saying is that we've been through all of these editions, and like, we're now on 5 editions of Dungeons and Dragons. And like I was trying to explain to them before, it's like, there's, you know, there were 4 editions of Dungeons and Dragons before this, you know, and
technically, is there, because there was D&D, was it, because then there was D&D, then there was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
So well, there's been 5 editions of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. D&D does not, the original does not count as that.
Got it. Okay.
Because there's AD&D first, which I believe is just a offshoot of D&D. Like, you could kind of consider them to be similar. Like, you would even say like D&D is AD&D, you know, 0.5.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes
like,
sense.
Or proto AD&D. They have AD&D second, AD&D third, of course, and AD&D third is actually 2 editions. If you want to be, you know, you want to get technical, you know, because AD&D 3 and AD&D 3.5 are 2 different editions, technically.
Right.
You have AD&D fourth, then so it released actually a lot of books. Like, people don't really realize that.
The fourth edition digest size books. I don't know if they're probably expensive as fuck because most of that stuff just ends up being expensive because it's rare. But if you can find the fourth edition, they had specific names. They were different, but I always just called them the digest size books. I don't remember what their proper names were, but there was a line of very small. They never released full size books for this line, but it was like almost a reboot of. It was like an attempt. They kind of like tried to Hail Mary save fourth edition, and in my opinion, they kind of did. But there's these digest size rule books which are great. They're excellent, and if I was going to play fourth edition, I would absolutely go hunt those books down as long as they weren't ludicrously expensive. Because what they did with those books is the classes are broken down into different books. So rather than one giant player's handbook, there's two halves of there's two digest sized books. Like one has I think the first one is fighter, wizard, cleric, thief, monk, or whatever, or the classics, a druid, and then paladin. And then the other book is your more esoteric ones. So like monk, warlock, blah, 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 blah. Like all those, the weirder classes are in the other book. So they're in separate books. But they took out a lot of the bloated stuff. And the books are smaller, which I also appreciate. But if I was going to play fourth edition, I would absolutely do that. And then the other thing too, I was talking about this with a friend, which was I've said you should just play level capped. Like almost any of the D&D games, most of the issues go away if you just cap at level 6. So there's a thing that my friend got super into for a long time. It was Pathfinder E. It was called E6, I think. But basically, the way the game works is you level. You play bog standard by the rules as written Pathfinder up to level 6. Once you get to level 6, your character no character gains levels anymore. You stay at level 6. But when you gain enough experience that would normally advance you to level 7, instead of gaining a level, you get to pick a feat. But you must meet all the requirements for the feat. Just doing that change immediately removes all of the really, really shit balance issues that Pathfinder has. It gets rid of the weird feat combos. It gets rid of incredibly high level spells. And what I'm saying about Pathfinder applies to all the D&D games too. No weird feat combos, no high level spells. You don't have ballooned hit points because everyone's capped at 6. It just streamlines the game and gets you playing what you want to be playing more. Because that's the whole thing. Is the rules don't facilitate. I think most people who really like D&D or like fantasy gaming, they don't actually want to play high level D&D because high level D&D is weird. It's not your classic. It's nothing to It is nothing it's not even people want to play Lord of the Rings or they want to play Game of Thrones or even Skyrim. But a high level D&D character, a level 20 character, is more broken than your most broken Skyrim character that you could ever think of. That character is a putz compared to a level 20 D&D character. Level 20 D&D characters are literally gods. They are actually absurd. There's no the challenges are so bizarre. And how do you challenge a character that's high? Well, in most cases, you throw a stupidly powerful enemy at them, like the Hecaton Harris. Did you know that the Hecaton Harris, which is an actual has rules official from an over level 20 Wizards of the Coast book, it has 100 attacks.
Yeah.
It has 100 melee attacks, and I don't know about you, but me, I do not want to roll 100 fucking attacks for anything in any game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
So when you get to that high level, the only challenge left for characters like that is to do something stupidly absurd. And
you have to kill God. You have to be in a Japanese anime and go and kill God.
JRPG. But yes.
Sorry, JRPG.
Yes, we have to overthrow and kill God. It's just I couldn't. So yeah, so most people want to play, like, they actually don't want to get that high level. They might think they do, but in most cases what you want is you want to have good fantasy adventures, and you can and with the E6 system you still get like you can still make very challenging enemies, but your characters don't get to the level where, like, even a spell as basic as flight breaks so many quests, like literally breaks so many quests. Like it's like, oh, we need to just to I was reading about one of the games I was reading, starting a friend, he's talking about his friend DMing was like, he just can't handle flight. He's like, I don't know what the fuck to do about this fucking spell. He's like, I can't fucking, he's like, it's ruining the game. Because like there was a thing where like they needed to get to, they were in a kingdom and they needed to get to another kingdom. And like he set up this big like kind of like winding it, because like the adventure was going to, like, the MacGuffin from A to B was not going to be the quest, or the adventure, I should say. The adventure was going to be the A to B, because he planned, like, there was like side stories, there was these towns, blah, blah, blah. But the wizard is just like, he apparently forgot that his wizard like has flight. So he's just like, oh, I'll take it. So the wizard just took the MacGuffin. He's like, I'll just use flight. So he's like, what do you mean you use flight? So he's like, yeah, I'll just fly. When it runs out, I'll set up my camp. I'll sleep, and then I'll press fly again, and I'll go, and then I'll get there. And he's like, it'll take me 6 days.
That's bullshit. Like, that's just the player being a dick.
No, but it's not. It's the spell. Like, that spell is broken.
It is. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I just
and
when I hear shit like that, it's like, hey, I don't want to play Dungeons and Dragons. I just want to win Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Flight's not even a one of the worst versions of that. But like, there's things like you also flight. There's things where you forget, like, like, oh, this encounter is going to be challenging because I'm going to have, like a river hag in this like fast running river. So the party is going to have to like fight in rough conditions to escort the merchant across the fucking river. And he's like, I'll just grab the merchant and fly over. Like, we'll just fly, no problem. And that's when then you get spells like Dimension Door. There's Mage Eyes. There's so many spells that are just like legit OP, because they're not balanced and they're completely broken. And then like the only way to like quote unquote counter that becomes this weird like arms race where like you don't want your GM to start using the spells that you use to break your GM's game against you. Yeah. You don't want that. Because once the GM starts using spells against you that you're using, you're going to be a fucking crybaby about it because your characters are all going to die.
Yeah. Like, it's like when you start countering healing spells in the middle of combat.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you're going to heal? No, you're not. Fucking counter spell. Whoops. Looks like that character's fucking dead.
Exactly. So it's like you that's why Dungeons and Dragons games need to either be established right off the bat, like, you are playing, this is a narrative game, this is a role-playing game, we're going to role play this game, this is not a game to win. Because if you want to play a game to win, we're going to try and beat the DM is going to try to beat us. And
in that case, there's much better games to do that with.
Yeah, exactly. But people don't want to hear that. They just want to do like funny Matt Mercer voices.
Yeah, they want to do funny Matt Mercer voices and figure out how to make eclairs and sell them in Dungeons and Dragons.
Make eclairs and sell them.
Dude, the amount of people who want to do weird food shit in D&D is like extreme.
Is it like the people who want to have sex with the robot from Five Nights at Freddy's?
No, it's not a sex thing. At least I don't think.
Are you sure?
You know what? I can't be sure of anything, so I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say, that's why I said I think.
This isn't a sex thing, is it? No.
Are you sure? Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's why I always tell people when they ask me like, how should I, like when if anyone ever talks to me about like DMing or like stuff like that, I'm like, don't run a campaign. Like, the biggest mistake you can make as a dungeon master is to run a campaign. Run a story.
Yeah, that's a good advice.
Just run a story. Like, you can pick a module. If you can't do it on your own, that's fine.
Highly recommend modules.
not a lot of people can do stuff on their own, or they're rough on the fly. My advice for modules is have 2 at the same level. If your players accidentally sidestep the hooks from your first one, go into the other one.
That's good. That's great advice right there.
So that's what I say. And then that way, once that module is complete, the characters are retired. You just go to the next module and you make new characters. And if you do want to keep the same characters, well, then you'd better find a module that has the right levels for the characters where they're at now.
I do think I like playing different characters. It's fun to play one character and then switch to a different one. I know people get attached, but whatever. All right, so we're way over time, and I got to get running soon.
All right,
but that's good because I think we got enough for 2 weeks worth of content.
Yeah, we have an epic 2-parter.
Yes, an epic 2-parter. I'll have to figure out where to split it. I hope it's in the middle of a fart joke.
Yeah, let's go.
So on one cast, it's like the lead up to the fart joke, and then the next cast is immediately just
with the fart sound.
With the fart sound. All right, everybody, go to Game Classy Facebook page. The best way you can get in contact with us. You can like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube. Comment, subscribe on the iTunes. That's way you can help out the guest. You could also follow me on the Instagram on Game Classy Joe. You could follow Steve on Twitter at _command throw.
_throw.
I know. I just keep on throwing the underscore in different places. So Steve, until next time.
I hope you enjoyed our 2-part journey, and thank you for taking it with us as always.
Game Classy.